I'm Sue.
And we are aging joyfully.
Hey, please take a minute to give us a thumbs up.
Yes.
Hit the notification button.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
subscribe.
Don't forget, subscribe.
If you're new to us, we have been talking about aging issues for almost 2 years.
Wow.
Which many of the issues apply to everybody, no matter what the age, right?
That's right.
Housing, medical, the political environment, anything that's going on today. Much of it applies to all of us, no matter what your age.
Yes, it does, because we all live in this world, and we all have to eat. We all have to work. Most of us, I guess, work.
Breathe the air.
Breathe the air.
Use the water.
Yes.
And our favorite is hiking, visiting national or state parks.
Yes, and protecting ourselves from pathogens that are unfamiliar to our environment.
Today, we are talking about grandparents' issues, older people. You have to be older to be a grandparent.
Typically.
So, for Easter, we created this wonderful book.
Look at that.
For our grandson.
Yes, I love you because...
I never knew my grandparents, so it was always my life goal to become a grandmother. And this is a book that hopefully won't be thrown out. Hopefully will be treasured and kept for the remainder of his life, and he can look back. We went ahead and added pictures, so made it kind of like a scrapbook.
Right, exactly.
But we did this while waiting for Steve's cataract surgery.
Notice no glasses.
And we will be doing a follow-up on that. We did the first video, and you can watch that. The link will be in the description.
Right, right.
And we'll do a follow-up on how he's enjoyed not having glasses. But here we go. We'll read some of these. A lot of them, they get a little redundant at times. But here, I love this at the beginning. So here, I start out by putting a picture of us when we first met. And we took this pretty early on.
Yeah.
We knew.
Those people look very young.
They look crazy, huh? The 80s, the big hair. And for some reason, Steve didn't have a beard because he had a beard the majority of the time I've known him. So I don't know why you didn't have a beard here.
I think I may have shaved it off for the picture.
But we knew pretty quickly we were going to get married. And at the bottom here I said, when I fall in love, it will be forever. The Nat King Cole song. Because we knew on our first or second, probably second date. What did your mother always say?
She always used to say, there's a lid for every pot.
So, yes, we got together at late ages, and we've been married almost 34 years now.
Wow.
So here is a more recent picture of us traveling through Georgia, which is where we live. And it says, spread love wherever you go. Let no one come to you without leaving them happier. Mother Teresa. Oh. So we added pictures and some inspirational quotes as just said lifelong guidance. Mother Teresa's been gone for quite a while, but these words from her are valid forever, right?
That's right, they are.
So, then here we go again. First dating, and then later walking our dogs.
Oh, yeah.
So
difference in the pictures.
Then and now.
Ooh.
Big hair. Again, no beard. Don't know why. Another more current picture. And it says this book is for our grandson, and the date is 2025.
Wow.
So here we go. And then we added pictures of him, which we're not going to show pictures because that's disrespectful for children under 18 who we do not have his expressive permission. But we're going to say what we said. Even at 4, their personality is there, right?
Right.
I think it's there from the minute you're born.
Absolutely.
Both our kids behaved very differently from the minute they were born, and that personality at birth followed them through the rest of their lives.
Yes.
So I believe it's in your genes. Your personality is more from your genes.
Maybe even before.
Oh, well, from conception, the personality is imprinted in you from your genes more than environment. Right. They always say nature versus nurture, and I always love those studies. I always look for those studies of twins and how 2 identical twins how could they be different? How could they be so different? But anyway, with our children, I believe their personality came out.
Right.
You make me smile when
you make goofy faces.
Steve and our grandson love to make goofy faces again, and I would take pictures. I said, whenever I see you, I smile whenever I see him, which we don't get to see them as much as we like to. Of course, grandparents just love to see their grandchildren. And statistically speaking, paternal grandparents, because it's our son's son, paternal grandparents don't see the grandchildren anywhere near as much as maternal grandparents. This is a fact that I've read. There's been studies that paternal grandparents barely have the visitation that maternal grandparents have. So it's a treat when we do get to see him. And he's such a little comedian that he always makes me smile and laugh. I look up to you because
you're strong-willed. You go after things you want in life.
You use humor to deal with life's obstacles. You always have a quick smile. We're all going to have obstacles, and even at a young age, there's so many obstacles, especially for his age group. Being born during the pandemic, this generation, sadly, is delayed in speaking, reading, everything, for various number of reasons. The isolation, the lockdowns, even though they were very, very brief lockdowns, there was still all the fear, the spacing at stores, the masking. So they're very delayed, and then technology really picked up. I think during the People like I said many times, when we go to the park, either with the dogs or when we went with their grandson, we'd see little babies as young as soon as you could hold a bottle about 6 months, 5, 6, 7 months. The parents give these little babies their cell phones in the strollers and wagons, and they're holding the cell phone. And if they're not, I see parents talking on their cell phone and not talking to the child. This is some of the reasons they believe language is delayed for so many in this generation, because parents are either on their cell phones or the little kids, sadly, are on their parents' cell phone. And that's delaying it. There's tons and tons of stories if you want to Google teachers. Why teachers are leaving. Okay, this one was really neat. This was Easter. I was spinning him around. So the picture ended up being blurry because I was spinning him. It says, you make my life special because
you're in it.
You bring joy to me because you're always happy. He has such a quick smile and loves playing games and doing things, pulling tricks on people. He has a very similar personality to Steve. If you watch one of our previous videos talking about Steve's birthday, I said I married him because on our first date he made me laugh, and I wanted to spend my life laughing. I've been around a lot of critical people in my life, and I did not want to be criticized or have criticism. I wanted to laugh, and so our grandson has a lot of Steve's good personality with playing games, tricks, and just having a quick smile.
It's important to laugh.
Okay, here's Steve on the floor at his age, at our age, on the floor at our age, coloring and doing things. I will always remember when
playing together on the floor, we also would color together. You loved it when I traced your hand with a crayon and marker.
We danced together to Rocky Top. You loved listening to Dolly Parton and adopted her love of butterflies as your own. He absolutely loved Rocky Top when he was young. And I went to the University of Tennessee, and Dolly is my #1 role model. And I put her on the next page. Here she is. Because you just cannot find a better role model than Dolly. She gives back. She started the Inspiration Library where she gave books to people not just in Tennessee, but also other countries. And that was because her father was illiterate. And I always believed in literacy. And when I took care of our grandson for the first 2 years of his life, we would read 10 books a day, and he absolutely loved reading. And so Dolly is my role model, and the quote is, you always want your people to be proud of what you accomplished. Dolly Parton. That means don't do things that your people are not going to be, that your people will be ashamed or embarrassed that that you there was a poem I used to have when I was a young child, and it would say, I got my name from my father. It's the only thing he had to give. I don't know the exact words, but it says if you tarnish that name, it's not just you, it's your whole family. You've tarnished the family name.
That's right.
Today, this doesn't have as much meaning. People don't seem to have that mindset.
Right. Yep.
Okay, and then I wrote, when in doubt, ask what Dolly would do. If you wonder what to do in life, ask what Dolly would do. You can't find a better role model. We were fortunate enough to see her in concert when we lived in Pennsylvania. Right?
Yeah, that's right. It was a great concert. Good show.
Okay, you make me feel seen. And that's a big thing today. Everybody wants to be valued, seen, heard.
Yes.
So it's funny because this is a current book. You make me feel seen when you
come up and hug me. You always have the biggest smile on your face.
Say my name. The letter G is challenging for young children to pronounce. I was so proud once you said it at 4 years of age. Yeah, he was a little bit slow in saying grandma. He said Papa from an early age. P's are easy, P's and D's. They always say Daddy first and Papa. But Grandma, the G is really difficult. And he knows who I am, though. He always comes up and smiles and gives me a kiss or a hug or whatever. Okay. I love when you
hug me. Your hugs are very special.
Water the flowers outside. Both your work ethic and love of nature are commendable. He would just run out, and I bought little watering cans, so he would water. When we had our Zen garden, we made a lot of videos on that. We had tons and tons of flowers. Now that's been cut back in the current economic state of affairs. We're not buying flowers. If they come back, some will come back from last year, but we're not investing in them. They're just too expensive. But he would go out there and water. And the dog there is Sierra, who's almost 14, real close to 14. And she doesn't like her picture taken. She kind of turned her head. She never wanted to have her picture taken. But she's been a great dog for 14 years. Okay. Thank you for always
being my grandson. You are a kind and happy boy.
Being you. You have a wonderful sense of humor and embrace life. You enjoy music and are a happy person. I bought this little keyboard as one of my hobbies because I always wanted to play the piano. And growing up in a family of 8, my parents never felt we could buy a piano or afford the lessons. And I have no musical talent, but I bought this. And he loved it. Just loved it. I lent the keyboard to my sister for over a year and just got it back recently. I know I can always count on you to
brighten up my day. A sly look comes across your face before you do something unexpected.
Make me laugh. Your enthusiasm for life is contagious. If you laugh and smile, people around you laugh and smile.
That's right. They like to be around you.
You always know
when someone needs a hug or a kiss.
How to go after what you want in life. You are self-assured and confident as you navigate through life's obstacles. Like I said, in this current time frame, with everything that's going on with the pandemic and on, there's a lot of obstacles in life. I always feel happy when I think about
our fun times together, going to the farm where there are live animals, donkeys and cows and pigs, and the Atlanta Botanical Gardens were fun. Also the library, going to the library where there were shows and music. You always seem to have a real great time. And then of course, going to parks where those memories are cherished.
I always feel happy when I think about spending time with you. Watering our flowers, playing games, singing, dancing, playing around on our keyboard were some of your favorite activities. My favorite thing about you is
your infectious smile. Your smile brightens the room, encouraging joy.
Your love of life. You go after things that you want. The world needs more of your
kindness,
sense of humor. Everyone is too sensitive, too touchy, too angry since the pandemic. We all need to laugh more often. My favorite memory of us
is when you were playing in our backyard, kicking the huge yellow ball that was almost as big as you were, around 3 years old.
The day you came to our house wearing the same outfit as me, red and black, plaid shirt, and black pants. We had a special connection. That one was hysterical when he walked in wearing the same outfit when I was taking care of him. It was a cold, cold winter day, and I was so shocked he was wearing the same outfit. I said, we've got to get a picture of this. You are the best at
entertainment by yourself. You are so creative that you find unique purposes for everyday objects. That's creativity.
Oh yeah, when we took him to the library, there was a table against the wall, and instead of playing with the kids and the toys, he was playing with that table and the air vents in the floor. And he would take this cute little girl, I don't remember her name anymore. He'd bring her over to those air vents that she never dreamt of. And he'd look at the air coming out and try to figure out. This is like my father, who was an engineer, and just try to figure out, how this air was coming out of this vent. And so he didn't look at the toys. He was looking at everything in a unique way, a creative way of how they could be used in other things. And my father did that our whole life. My father used a door to make our kitchen table because there was 10 of us, and they couldn't afford to buy a table, having 10 people in the house all a year apart. He used a door for his desk. So he looked at objects and made different things with different objects. And that's what he was doing that day. Our grandson was doing that at the library, looking at the things and seeing, how can I use this in a way other than it's intended to be used?
Exactly.
You are the best at keeping busy. Your inquisitive mind keeps you on the go, seeking new adventures.
Good and bad.
Well, I think it's good to be inquisitive. And I mean, that's how people who think outside the box, they're generally, if they're very creative, they're like the Bill Gates and the Elon Musk and the ones who make the big changes in our world, right?
Right. The Steve Jobs. Yeah, I mean it is, as long as you're looking at it for good.
And and you're
not getting in trouble.
Well, the Ben Franklins. I mean, there's a lot of people who didn't get famous who also, think outside the box and are creative and think of things. I mean, I never thought I was creative because I think I used to think of creativity as somebody who dressed with a lot of flair and decorate their house. And then I found out creativity comes in different forms.
Yeah.
That people who use maybe boring scientific things or engineering things are also creative, or computer things. I always thought of creativity as a artsy, because I never liked art in school. I always thought it was an artsy thing, making crafts. And now I do ironically make more crafts now with my card making, but I never saw myself as creative. And then I realized creativity comes in a lot of different forms.
That's right. If you cook, creativity comes out in your cooking or baking. I mean, there's creativity in everything.
I think we've lost a lot of this, though, because schools are so rigid. I know, because I've worked in so many schools, and I mean, even in kindergarten, we were on a strict schedule with. There's like when our kids went to kindergarten, they had a playhouse, play kitchen, play bed. Our daughter's kindergarten class actually had a loft bed, and I remember that because one of the children broke their arm falling off of that. I thought it was a little weird at the time, but they had like little kitchen, and they had nap time. And then by the time our grandson goes to kindergarten this year. Well, I know from working in kindergarten, there's no toys, there's no play kitchen, no play bed, that they don't think of creativity as learning, which it is. It's huge.
Absolutely, it's learning.
That time where kids are so structured, they don't have that downtime to dream and think about things.
Yes.
So they get bored. But whereas I don't ever get bored.
Right.
Being home all day since I've quit working, I never get bored. There's so many creative things to do. I'm always getting new hobbies and doing different things.
Yeah.
But kids will be like, I'm bored. Well, I always told our kids, if you say you're bored, you're cleaning the house. And they never said they were bored, did they?
That's right.
I don't think they ever told me they were bored, because I was like, well, this needs to be vacuumed, this needs to be dusted.
See, I never say I'm bored.
He's learned, never say you're bored.
Never say you're bored.
No, I don't remember our kids really saying that, because we always...
They learned early.
Well, we had a lot going on. There's so much to do. Spending time with you makes me feel...
happy, because when I'm with you, I don't have a care in the world, or nothing else matters. It's true. You have to focus on the moment.
Well, you can forget all your problems because you get to be a kid again.
That's right.
You get to go to that level of joy. I remember when I was working for a Fortune 500 company, we had a team building exercise because we couldn't get along. We were all auditors, and nobody would cooperate or try to get along. And so they said, we're going to do team building. And they hired some consultant person to come in and do it. And they said, children always win this exercise because they're so open. They haven't put up their barriers. You learn through life to put up your barriers and your blockage, and to not I guess think, right? Not think
outside the box. I mean,
think at all.
Well, or think at all. I mean, you're so uniform in the way that you go about your day and the way you look at things, that you can't experience anything from another direction or another person's view. That
Yeah.
too.
So this game was well, it was an exercise that was very popular at the time, where a plane crashed. You were in a plane and you crashed on an island, and you had to list the 25 items in importance of in order. You had to list the 25 items in the order of importance that you would need to survive. And you should get a perfect score because somebody in your group knew the answer. So it's called
Right.
synergy, energy plus,
Right.
what was it? What's the S for? Synergy, synthesizing, I don't know. Energy,
Hold on.
I don't know what the S was.
Uh,
You know, business groups always have these new words. It's like education always changes their vocabulary. So it's synergy that somebody knew the answer and you should score a perfect score. And then one person had done the exercise, so he observed. And I am a very logical person, never did a lot of camping or anything. There was one guy who was a Boy Scout, he was a Mormon Boy Scout leader, and he knew all the answers. And then I just used logic. I was like, logically, what would you need? Well, I said water had to be number one. You have to have water to live. But one of the people who was the most challenging to work with in the office demanded she have her bottled water. And I said, you don't want to be weighed down. Water's very heavy. You don't want to be weighed down with unnecessary things. The water, they told us, would go over rocks. And I just knew when water goes over rocks, it cleanses it. So she wouldn't listen. She demanded her. So because of her, we didn't get that perfect score. But at the end, the guy who observed said, I knew the majority of the answers, but nobody would listen to me, which has always been the problem in my life. I don't know why, but it was an interesting exercise. See, children don't have those barriers and those preconceived things, and that's what I'm reading a book right now about. Your experience modifies your perception. They don't have all those experiences that block their
Right.
openness.
Right.
So we didn't do as well as we should have. We should have gotten a perfect score, but because that woman was very aggressive, and they said that the aggressive people get their way, whether they're right or wrong. Aggressive people get their way in life, and so I was right but wasn't aggressive, and she was aggressive and not right. And she was grew up wealthy and never camped in her life, and demanded her bottled water. And this was 30 years ago. I didn't even think bottled water was around. I guess bottled water must have just been in the process of coming out because I remember that it wasn't really that big around that time period. But
Right.
I guess it was probably jugs. They didn't have individual bottles. I know at all. In the Coke machines, they never had bottled water back then. So it must have been big jugs of water. And she demanded, because she was wealthy, grew up wealthy, she demanded her bottle of water, and she cost us a lot of points in that game. We didn't win because of her aggression. So sometimes, I think overall in life, you need to listen to the people who are, well, the quiet ones are usually the right ones, right? The ones who
right.
don't talk. The quiet
Yeah.
ones are usually the ones with the right answer. So spending time with you makes me feel content. My lifelong dream of becoming a grandmother was fulfilled. When he was born. We were at the library. We were at the library in that picture. You inspire me to
Appreciate the good in people. In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. And that's from Anne Frank. And if you don't know the story of Anne Frank, I would look it up because her story is about isolation and also being hunted down by the Nazis. And you just really have to understand, as the people around her were being killed because of who they were and how she survived.
So you would think everybody knows that story at this point. That was required reading when I was in middle school. Mm-hmm. And she was, hid in the attic when the Nazis were taking Jews to concentration camps. And you would think everybody knows that story, but I had gone on to Facebook a few years ago and saw a person who I graduated from high school with, who is a teacher, had gone to Europe and I think saw her house or something. She held up the book and she said, "How did I not know about this person?" And I'm thinking, how did you not know about this person when you are a teacher? Yeah. She just learned about her recently, which is shocking to me. But the point of the quote is that as all these people were so evil and doing these horrendous, unspeakable acts, she said, I still believe in the good, that people are really good at heart. And that's something for me to think about as people do as people are not as nice as I believe they could be, not as kind, that I believe sometimes they go out of their way to hurt people, I say, you know, they're really good at heart. Something's going on, they're hurting or whatever, that they're really good. And I have to remind myself of Anne Frank. She was only about 13, I think, when she wrote this diary. Yeah. And if this 13-year-old realized this deep, deep thought, then I need to think that, yeah, people are really good at heart. I need to forgive a lot of things that people are doing as we are, I don't want to say all, but it's turbulent times, right?
Yeah, sure
turbulent times. We say every week is like, what, a year? Our life has gone, everybody's life has gone. So, I mean, if you were sick, had the flu for a week, you'd wake up and say, wait, what?
What's going on?
What? So much has happened in every single week. So that's a deep thought to just keep in mind. Okay, you inspire me to enjoy life more, have more fun, do silly things, smile and laugh more often. Don't think we smile and laugh enough. I think we get caught up in all the division in the world.
Yeah, the division.
Yeah, so just that's how we can forget everything being around him, because he doesn't have all those worries and concerns. Right. He's that open child, like in that game that they said that the children always win. He doesn't have those barriers up. He's learning to get those barriers being in daycare and schools and being
happens over time.
It happens through the years that you build those walls, those barriers, where you stop having that creativity, that free thinking. That you can't win that game. I don't know. I think that's pretty sad, isn't it?
Well, it is, but it's human nature. I mean, it's not something that's going to change.
I don't really know. We have great hopes for our grandson that he's going to be this great comedian or inventor or something. Of course, we're not biased, right? Not biased at all.
No, not at all.
Here's some bunny ears for Easter. You'll never know how much I appreciate
a good joke. You light up a room when you walk into it. I think that you are very humorous.
Your sense of humor. From the earliest age, I envisioned you becoming a comedian when you grew up. I mean, I saw that from 6 months or a year, his sense of humor. It's just, his sense of humor is amazing.
Yeah, it's good to have a sense of humor.
Like here this was Thanksgiving, and we were taking a picture of the three of us, and instead of smiling for the camera, he kissed my cheek, and then he had the biggest smile, like he got away with something. It was pretty funny. I love how you
smile frequently and enjoy life's treasures.
Check to see if anyone is watching before you do something that may get you in trouble. He always has a sly look. He's real quiet, looks around, makes sure nobody's watching before he does some like that kiss. He was like, yeah. And then he had the biggest smile. I'm so proud of myself getting that kiss in. I admire your
adaptability. You adjust well to many different environments and interact well with people of varying backgrounds. That's a gift.
Strength. Life will be filled with many challenges and changes. You have the gift to weather these storms.
Yeah, that's true.
He's been exposed to quite a bit already, as his mother's family immigrated from another country. So he has that family and their culture and their differences, and then our unique differences.
Yeah.
Okay, then the back page here is some pictures of us.
That's us in Chicago,
where I grew up. We were visiting last year, and it says this book was completed with love on this date. And then we got 2 pictures of him playing the keyboard. He doesn't play, just playing around. It says, if you're lucky enough to be different, don't ever change. Taylor Swift. And
wow.
We all know how big she is.
Wow.
So she's encouraging that difference, that outside the box, that unique, that creative thinking.
Oh.
And then the back is just pictures of him reading. There's a program for kids starting kindergarten that they need to read 1,000 books before kindergarten, and he reached that goal at listen to, because we were reading 10 books a day. And so there's pictures of him picking books at just the youngest age and reading, and with Steve reading a book to him. For some reason there's not me reading, because I'm the one who always takes the pictures. But this is a book to be treasured.
Yes.
we hope he'll keep this forever. Enjoy the pictures, and they're just pictures of us and him. We didn't include other family because it was from the grandparents. This set of grandparents. I do encourage the other grandmother to send us pictures, and I've made scrapbooks with their pictures. So as you can tell, family is everything to us, and we want him to have this book once we're long gone, because I've never met my grandparents. Steve has some memories of his two grandmothers, right? Not two grandfathers. And back then, nobody talked about. Nobody talked about what
anything.
It was like. Yeah, anything. Nothing. Nobody talked about anything back then.
Right.
Today it's about feelings and being heard, and being felt, being seen, and but back then it was survival, right?
Yeah,
survival.
Exactly.
There's a man on YouTube who interviews older people, and he interviewed a guy who's 103, and he said, "What were your goals?" He's living in New York, and he's like, "We didn't have goals back then." Yeah. And I was thinking, it was all about survival. He was in World War I, and he was a prisoner of war for 4 years in I forget where, maybe Italy. I think he was from the UK, but I thought that was interesting. Yeah, we didn't have goals like today. Everybody has goals and things, but back then it was a survival, and you just did what was expected. You're going to get married, you're going to have kids, and he asked him, "What do you think the biggest change has been in your lifetime?" And he said the pill. He thought the pill was the biggest. The pill, yeah, but I think I had said that years ago too. Because he said that's when women were able to change. I think he called it evolution. Yeah. He said women could change the future by having fewer kids. That did change everything. So when the pill came along in the 60s, that's when families got smaller. Women then went back to work. Families got smaller. I don't know if you can attribute everything to the pill. That was a major thing.
Yes, it was.
Before then, and that probably is. I think he was a very, very wise man.
Yeah.
I think. Because before then, you had big families, and the woman couldn't just say, "I'm going to leave." She didn't have the means to leave. So families were intact. And sure, there's a lot of dysfunction because the women might have been miserable. The kids, there might have been alcoholism or whatever.
Right.
Not so much drug abuse back then, but a lot of alcoholism. Whereas today, there's a lot of prescription drug abuse. But that's an interesting thought, because I think I had said that years ago, that I thought the pill was one of the
Yeah, it made a lot of change. Anytime that you're altering the outcome of what is a natural function, then there is going to be change. There's no doubt about it. And the change in this case affects society and affects the growth of society.
So, those are interesting to see what these older people say. And they usually say things like, I work too much, focus more on your family. The fact is, though, that when you're in that position, you have to work that much.
That's right.
You don't have the luxury of focusing on your family, because you have to support your family.
Yeah.
Like moving as much as we did, I don't want to say we regret it,
right?
But it was required when a corporation just restructured, and Steve lost his job and we had to move. Yeah. And health insurance goes with a job. You had to get a job to have health insurance and to have income. Yeah. So you didn't really have a lot of choice.
Yep.
That's what I didn't mention it, but people think that we are making our own decisions in life, and I don't always think that we are. I think that the choice is between 1 and 2, and so the overall big picture of our lives have been predetermined.
Right.
So this man asked, do you have regrets? What would you do differently? And of course, they always say in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100, they don't have any regrets. Do you have any regrets?
I don't. No.
And I know a lot of this book was redundant. It did have a lot of the same things. But what's really cool about this, we only bought the one, but you could have bought several, and we could have made another one in a couple years or 5 years. As it gets the personality more distinct. Your basic personality is there. It's there. He's funny. He's a clown. He's very active.
Yes, he's very smart.
I called him Houdini when he was young, because he escaped everything. I'd set up gates or a little pendant area to keep him away from Sierra, and I'd go to the bathroom, and he'd jump over and come in and laugh at me and say, "Hey, here I am." So his personality has always been there, active.
Yep.
So you could do this. You could buy 2 or 3. We got this at Cracker Barrel. They don't have them anymore, because it was left over from Valentine's Day. But this idea, you can get something like this anywhere and leave it for your grandchildren.
Yeah, it's a memory.
If you don't get to see them as much as you want to, or even if you do, yes, it is a memory.
That's right.
As my sister-in-law says to me, tomorrow is not promised.
That's right. It's not.
It's not promised. We don't know,
That's right.
When you say, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done this.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Stop.
Right. Check out some of our other videos. We have so many. Give us that thumbs up, subscribe, and
Hit notifications.
till we see you again.
Take it easy.